Today is a very special day because we will be rating all of the World of Warcraft expansions. Now, I was not alive for all of these. However, my parents started introducing me to the game around Warlords of Draenor. Yes, I was only like 7 or 8. And then, actually it was more like 6. And then they showed me Legion. And then it kind of went from there. The addiction started. Now I have like 5,000 hours in the game. I know lots of people have more. But let's start. Okay, let's start with Vanilla. I was able to experience this in Classic. There were a lot of flaws with Vanilla. The first flaw was balancing, and there was wall jumping. There was lots of glitches. However, there was lots of features like the lacking of the looking for group feature made it very great for player interaction, and just the nostalgia of it. It was a great game. However, many people used a lot of quest add-ons. This is a very unpopular opinion. I think they should have showed you where the quest locations were in Vanilla. So we're going to put this at an A tier. There were flaws, but the flaws made it good. People liked Vanilla, so I'm putting it at an A tier. We're going to go with the Burning Crusade next. It was the first expansion. Everyone sucked. They fixed the problems with Vanilla. All of the problems that existed in Vanilla were fixed, minus the showing of quest locations, right? So, I'd say this is an A tier. Or no, not an A tier, an S tier by far. This was a good expansion. This was a great expansion, right? I played this expansion in Classic. It was amazing. Towards the end of Classic, there were some bots, I do have to say. But in general, it was a great expansion. And in Vanilla, we're not Vanilla. In the original release of the Burning Crusade, I do not believe there were very many bots in the game. There was a few gold farmers, and that was it. And that obviously changed in Classic. It was an S tier expansion, by far. We're going to say the Wrath of the Lich King. Now, where is this on my... Okay, here we go. It's right here. The Wrath of the Lich King was easily an S tier expansion. The raids were easy. And when it was released, there were not very many. It was just a remake of Naxxramas. But it was still good. Okay? So, Wrath of the Lich King... Do I put an A or an S? I'm going to say an S tier. And that's because the player count peaked in Wrath of the Lich King, and everyone wanted the Lich King to be in WoW. I mean, that's why people started playing WoW from Warcraft 3, was the Lich King. The trailer was amazing. Everything was amazing about it. The landscape was great. I really loved Northrend. When I played Northrend in Classic, it was amazing. The only downside to Wrath of the Lich King, like I said, were the raids and Death Knights. Death Knights were insanely overpowered. And they were broken. They weren't just overpowered, they were broken. So, there were a few balance problems in Wrath of the Lich King. Now, we have Classic. Or not Classic, I'm sorry. Cataclysm. This is why we have to have a Classic in the first place. There was an underwater zone. It was good experimenting with it. I did not like the underwater zone, okay? This was my least played expansion. First off, I have not even touched it in Classic. And I tried to go re-experience it by doing the whole time walking features and all of that other stuff with Chromie and choosing my expansion to level up with my 23 alts, right? And I got 2 zones in and I hated it. Now, I don't think I can give an honest review on this one, so take this one with a grain of salt, because I didn't play it much. But I really did not like Cataclysm. There was apparently, they had some really good balance features, right? But in general, I'm putting Cataclysm at a C tier. And I'm not putting it at a D tier because there were a few expansions that were worse than this. We will get to that in a second. Okay? Let's see. We have Pandaria, right? Mists of Pandaria was a very interesting expansion. Although, wait, do we have Mists of Pandaria on here? Wait, oh, here it is. Oh my gosh. Okay. I've actually been playing the remix right now. If I on full screen here, I'm playing Mists of Pandaria Remix, right? Remix is okay. There's lots of balance issues. We're not going to talk about Remix, right? We're going to talk about actual Mists of Pandaria. The panda theme was absolutely ridiculous. They should never have had pandas in the game. The theme sucked. The quests are great. I've replayed it many times with my alts that I have. The quests in Mists of Pandaria are top tier. They did a great job with the quests, man. The raids were pretty good too. And obviously, Mists of Pandaria Remix was also pretty good. Like I said, minus some balancing problems. They had to fix those, and they still have to. So, Mists of Pandaria, just because of the theme, I'm putting it at a B tier. It was not the best, right? And now we have Warlords of Draenor right here. WoD. I'm definitely not putting this at an S tier. WoD is definitely going to be a D tier expansion. The vibe was great. The trailer was great. The trailer was an S tier trailer. And when I rate the trailers, I'm putting WoD at an S tier. For sure. But the expansion, they just messed it up so bad. And the garrisons and the farming. And there was only like one major patch. And there was just such a huge content drought. There was even a content drought in Mists of Pandaria leading up to Warlords of Draenor. It was so bad. And I remember when my parents would show me this game when I was 6, I had fun with it. And that's because I knew nothing about WoW, right? I'd just go and hit things with a stick. I'd hit things with my weapon. That was it. So we're going to put it at a D tier. And I know everyone else wants it to be at a D tier too. We have Legion. That's a... I'm debating whether I put it at an A or an S tier. But if I put the Burning Crusade at an A tier or at an S tier, I need to put Legion at an S tier too. Legion, were there really any flaws with Legion? I do not think so. The zones were great. The Demon Hunters, they could have been better, right? But raids were good. Leveling, the issue with leveling is when you had to level up from 0 to level 110 in Legion, it would send you through all the expansions, and so the expansions were cut really short. I think that was the only problem with Legion, were the expansions. So I'd say Legion is an S tier, because if you take the leveling, which sucked, the leveling was absolutely terrible. From 0 to 110, or 0 to 100. From 100 to 110, the leveling was alright, okay? So I'm going to say Legion, since it had so many patches. It had Argus, it had all these other places we went to, it had all these other awesome raids. We have Tomb of Sargeras, those were all amazing raids. I'm going to put this at an S tier, right? Yeah, so we got our S tiers. These S tiers are top tier expansions. But now we have Battle for Azeroth. Quite possibly one of the worst expansions they've made. However, I do have to give it credit. As a casual player, I really enjoyed Battle for Azeroth. When I was playing it, I was probably 10 or 11. And it was really fun. I really liked Coltiris. I thought that what was it? Tiergard Sound, I thought it was really good. I also really like Stormsong Valley, but not as much as Tiergard Sound. And even Drustvar too. I thought it was a pretty good patch. And maybe that's just because I just started playing the game and that's all I had experienced. The leveling was crap though, and that's why they did the level squish in that expansion, was to fix the problem, and it still wasn't completely fixed because you'd level up way too fast, right? But I still have to rate it high. I mean, I liked it. So the rating was pretty bad. I know lots of people that quit. However, Classic 2 did come out. Classic came out in this expansion. So if I count Classic coming out in this expansion, oh man, okay. I'd have to put it at an, I'm not going to put it in A tier. I'm going to put it at a D tier or a B tier. I know people are going to get mad at me for saying Battle for Azeroth was at a B tier, but since Classic came out and since I had a lot of fun time playing BFA, I'm going to put it at a D tier. Sorry, I'm going to put it at a B tier. I don't know why I keep mixing up B and D tier. Let's go and talk about Shadowlands. Shadowlands is, well, I didn't think it was bad, but I was younger, and I wasn't old enough to get fed up with things at the time, right? That's how I view it. But I remember the content drought was so terrible that I ended up playing the public test realm for the upcoming patch, and then the public test realm was so bad. It was awful. Nothing was ready in the public test realm, which, I mean, yeah, I know it's a PTR, right? But it still was not ready. And the Korthia was like this big. It was tiny, right? The 9.1 sucked, and then they had 9.2, and that was it. There was no 0.3 patch, right? So we're gonna put it at a D tier. With Warlords of Draenor. I didn't think it was as bad as Warlords of Draenor. So we're going to put Warlords of Draenor, or Shadowlands above Warlords of Draenor, right? Dragonflight. Oh man, Dragonflight. So this is a difficult one because I actually quit halfway through Dragonflight because I didn't want to touch it. I thought Dragonflight was... The vibes to it were really bad. I did not like the idea of dragons flying around. And when I played... a Dragonflight, I did not realize how story-driven I was in WoW. I did not realize that, right? So, Dragonflight... I think it had lots of patches. The patch cadence for Dragonflight was really good. And the overall patch cadence for WoW was like 14 days during this Dragonflight era, right? So, it isn't that bad. The raids were hard, or are hard, but they're okay. I did heroic raiding just this week. The heroic raids are okay. I really liked Emir Drasul, and I really liked... I didn't really like Zerlek Caverns, but I really liked the Emerald Dream. And yeah, so I'm gonna say it's at an A tier, even though I did quit. But it's definitely behind. It's definitely behind Classic. Or vanilla. I should say vanilla. I'm just making sure I have this tier list right. So we have WoW. And then Dragonflight. I gotta say, I don't think Dragonflight is nearly as good as vanilla still. So we're gonna put vanilla right behind Legion. And Legion has to be an A tier. So I'm gonna put Legion, then Dragonflight. Because Legion was better than Dragonflight. Then we have vanilla, Wrath of the Lich King, and the Burning Crusade was definitely the best. We had Black Temple and Karazhan. Those were both really good raids. So, The War Within. I cannot give an honest review on it right now. However, I will try to. The War Within, I've played the beta a little bit, and I found it to be really hard to get into it. We cannot review the patch cadence of The War Within. Right? We cannot review that. So... From what I've seen, from what I've played, the delves are alright. The zones are okay, but they seem pretty small, right? We don't know how quickly they're going to be releasing these expansions in the World Soul Saga, so we'll have to see with that, right? But in general, I think it's going to be an okay expansion if they keep the patch cadence up. But it shows potential, but it doesn't seem to be amazing, which is why I'm definitely not going to put it at A or S. I'm definitely going to put it at B. And the vibes it's giving me pretty good vibes, right? But the quests are not written nearly as well as Mists of Pandaria. So, my reasoning for putting it at B tier is it's not as good as Legion, but it's definitely better than BFA. So I'm going to put it right in the middle of B tier. The vibes are better than Mists of Pandaria, but I don't think the quests are written nearly as well. So, this is my tier rating. We have Shadowlands is the worst, and then we have Warlords of Draenor. Oh, sorry. Shadowlands is slightly better than Warlords of Draenor, right? Warlords of Draenor still sucked. And then we have Cataclysm, and Cataclysm was mid. It was... I did not like the zones. It redid Azeroth. It burnt everything down, and the vibes were not good, right? Cataclysm, the vibes sucked. B tier, Mists of Pandaria. Quests were written super well. And then The vibes were just not there, which is keeping me from putting it at A or S tier, obviously. And then we have the War Within. This is part of the World Soul Saga. I cannot honestly review this expansion. It is not released yet, but it's shaping up to be a good expansion. And it's definitely shaping up to be better than Battle for Azeroth, right? Legion is definitely an A tier, and it's better than Dragonflight. However, Dragonflight has a great patch cadence, and it's been a fun expansion. However, I quit halfway through it, which I don't even know why. I think I was playing Fortnite or something. Fortnite's an okay game, but I definitely prefer WoW, right? Now we have S tier. Burning Crusade is definitely the best expansion. There were things that weren't perfect, but it took vanilla World of Warcraft and it made it much, much better. And then we have Wrath of the Lich King, and that was it was better than vanilla because they still had lots of the things fixed from vanilla. So it was not nearly as good as the Burning Crusade because of the broken Death Knights and the bad raids. And then obviously vanilla is still on an S tier. It's not as good as Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, but it's still definitely one of the best expansions. So thank you guys all for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.